Alright, you magnificent bastards, gather round, grab a glass of whiskey, or 3, because today we're diving headfirst into this crossover so ridiculous, so apocalyptic, it makes the Death Star look like a garden ornament, and Jar Jar Binks looks like a tactical genius. But before we get into this galactic scale carnage, let me just say this. What the actual hell is going on? One of these bloody videos has racked over 7,000 views. As of writing this, we've gotten 350 subs in this wee unhinged community of space war nonsense. That's 350 poor souls who have decided to follow a Scotsman into the abyss. And I love you all, but I question your judgment. And speaking of questionable judgment, some of you absolute goblins were upset about the whole "could the Empire survive 40k" thing. Apparently, the truth hurts a wee bit. Star Wars fans, I love you, but Jesus Christ, you lot have stronger opinions than a Death Star has thermal exhaust ports. So calm down, it's just a joke. Mostly. Sort of. Anyway, the subscriber goal is 500, and when we hit it, I'll be doing something special. Could be a bonus video, could be a lore deep dive, could be me in a kilt, screaming at a lector, who knows? You'll have to stick around to find out. Now, back to the madness. We're asking, could the Rebel Alliance survive a Tyranid invasion? I know, mate. The Rebels barely survived the bloody Empire, and now you're throwing a Hive Fleet at them. You're dead right. It's absolute madness, but that's what we do here. We take sci-fi logic, we punt it off a cliff, and then we set that cliff on fire. So imagine the scrappy underdogs of Star Wars, the ones flying duct-taped X-Wings, high on hope and caffeine, going toe to claw with Warhammer 40k's biggest, hungriest horrors, the Tyranids. These things don't negotiate, they don't monologue, they just arrive, eat everything, and shit out biomass. And a spoiler alert, it's not gonna be pretty. But before we dive in, do me a huge solid, hit that like button like a Carnifex charging at the Jedi. Subscribe for more whiskey-soaked chaos, and let's see how long these rebels last before they get pummeled and devoured by these galactic-fueled nightmares. Let's dive in. Right, so for the 5 of you who've been living under a rock, or maybe in a remote cave on Dagobah, the Rebel Alliance are the scrappy band of freedom fighters who rose up against the Galactic Empire. They've got heart, passion, and a shocking amount of plot armor, led by legends like Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, and eventually Luke Skywalker. The Rebels are all about guerrilla warfare. They don't have legions of troops or planet-cracking ships, but they've got battered fighters, stolen plans, and more balls than brains half the time. Their army, a ragtag mess of idealists, smugglers, farmers with blasters, and the occasional Jedi who hasn't been turned into Force confetti. They win by being clever, unpredictable, and just annoying enough that even Vader can't Force choke them fast enough. But here's the thing. They were always fighting a lopsided war. The Empire had everything. Power, numbers, and an angry space wizard with anger issues. The Rebels, they had hope. Which is lovely and all, until the Tyranids show up and piss on it. Right, now let's talk about the bloody reason we're all here. The Tyranids. The biggest, the baddest, the hungriest shite bags in the 40k galaxy. Imagine every nightmare you've ever had about insects crawling into your ear. Then give those insects acid breath, tank-sized claws, wings, psychic powers, and the unrelenting urge to devour everything that lives in the galaxy. The Tyranids are a hive mind species that doesn't just invade, they consume. They eat everything. Planets, animals, entire oceans, even your nan's lovely flower garden. Biomass? Gone. Culture? Gone. They don't even care about your history books. They'll eat those too. And worst of all, they adapt. Got fancy weapons? They'll grow thicker armor. Use traps? They'll birth bugs to sniff them out. Try to escape into space? They'll fire bloody living torpedoes at your arse and drag you back screaming. They are, quite simply, the final boss of existence. And they're about to drop in on the rebels, like a pissed off Godzilla at a peace rally. So, picture this. Somewhere, out past wild space, tucked between forgotten star lanes, and systems so empty they make Tatooine look like Coruscant on payday, the Rebel Alliance is quietly setting up a hidden base, a remote jungle moon. No name, no charts, just trees, caves, and damp-ass cracks. The perfect hiding spot. Commanders are chatting tactics, droids are buzzing about, loading crates of ration bars and half-working blasters. Luke's off somewhere in the jungle, having a brooding Force moment about destiny, death, or daddy issues. Leia is barking orders, and Han is arguing with a malfunctioning crate of thermal detonators. You know, the usual drill. But far beyond them, beyond the Outer Rim, beyond even the maps drawn by spice smugglers, something ancient and utterly alien is watching. Because out there, in the dead black between galaxies, Hive Fleet Behemoth is surging. You see, Behemoth just got done chewing through a minor satellite galaxy, wiping out every last thing that walked, swam, crawled, or photosynthesized. And now, it's still hungry. Always hungry. It lifts its monstrous, bloated head, or whatever counts as a head for a species made of screaming bones and rage. And it smells something new. Life, rich, diverse, flavorful. It's the Star Wars galaxy, a fresh buffet of biomass. And like a shark catching the scent of blood in water, the swarm shifts. The first signs are easy to miss. Quiet. Almost peaceful. A trading post in hut space goes silent. The kind run by gangsters too stubborn to die and too paranoid to go dark. Then another. Then entire smuggling routes. The Kessel Drift. The Galenian Run. Completely silent. No wrecks. No survivors. No messages. Just nothing. Rebel scouts are sent to investigate. They jump into the system, see a planet intact, but covered in a strange mist, thick clouds, and pulsating organic masses where cities should be. They get one scan off. Just one. It reads life forms detected. Uncountable. And then gone. Screams, static, and then silence. Whole crews erased in seconds. Back at Rebel HQ, alarms start going off. Mon Mothma thinks it's a new Imperial weapon. Something Vader cooked up. Something Palpatine hid beneath the Senate's ruins. Akbar is pacing, muttering, "It's a trap!" every time someone brings him a coffee. Leia is trying to keep it together. Luke, he's feeling something. Something ancient. Wrong. Like the Force itself, just recoiled in horror. But they still don't understand what they're dealing with. Then, the real horror begins. A moon disappears. Not explodes. Not invaded. Just gone. Deep in the rim. A small green moon with a population of 40,000 rebel sympathizers. A hidden comm station and a functioning medbay. Completely devoured. Not even an atmosphere left. Just a barren rock covered in chitinous slime and bone towers built from the remains of its people. That's when the panic kicks in, because the Tyranids don't just invade, they don't do politics, they don't negotiate, and they don't even hate you. They simply arrive, and then you're no longer alive. The stars above wild space begin to shift and pulsate with an eerie purple light. It's not a hyperspace anomaly, it's not cloaking tech, it's bioships, colossal things, living things, hive ships, tentacled void monsters the size of star destroyers, drifting just outside of sensor range. Then, the spores start falling. Mycelia spores, thousands of them, like shooting stars, except instead of wishes, they bring teeth and acid and claws and pure howling murder. And they don't just fall from orbit like a gentle meteor shower. Oh no, they smash into the jungle moon like bloody bombs. Whole trees are vaporized, rebel patrols are showered in molten craters. Command tents are shredded by claws before the alarms even sound off. One poor bastard steps outside for a smoke and gets melted by a plasma-spitting bug the size of a bantha. Screams echo, blaster fire lights up the treetops. You hear an X-Wing engine spin up and then stop, suddenly, violently, because something ripped the ship in half while it was still on the ground. A termagant bursts up from under the base, coiling like a demon worm, dragging commandos into the dirt with slapping jaws. Gaunts swarm, their claws glinting, eyes empty, bodies driven only by hunger. A Hive Tyrant lands, its wings casting a shadow over the base, like death itself, unleashing a psychic scream so powerful a Jedi drops dead mid-swing, blood bursting from his ears. There's no strategy, no negotiation, no heroic last stand, only carnage. The rebels don't just lose the base, they lose the moon in an hour. And the worst? They can't stop it, because this wasn't the main force. This was just a scout. The first major encounter takes place on some backwater rebel-aligned planet. The one that we were originally talking about. Not the second forest moon, but the first one. If you couldn't tell, the rebels really like forest moons. They're great for hiding, but awful for defense, as you're about to see. A rebel fleet patrols the skies. X-Wings are on standby. A Mon Calamari cruiser is orbiting. Then the star disappears, blotted out by a shadow. The Hive ships descend like falling gods, and before anyone can say, "What the fuck is that?" Mycelia spores rain down. They bypass shields. They don't give a fuck about the fences. Out come the Gaunts, sprinting, slashing, swinging. Rebel commandos open fire, but it's like pissing into a hurricane. One Carnifex bows through a Y-wing hangar like it's made of cardboard. A TIE Tyrant swoops in and turns a Jedi Knight into red mist. The rebels are brave, aye, but bravery doesn't stop your insides from becoming your outsides. Panic is spreading faster than a Wookiee with fleas. Bail Organa is like, "We need to fucking evacuate." Mon Mothma is writing a speech, and Leia's grabbing a blaster. And Luke's trying to meditate, but the Force is like, "Mate, run." And here's where things get juicy. The Empire catches wind of the invasion, and for once, they're not the bad guys, because they're getting eaten too. Entire Imperial fleets disappear, planets fall silent, even Vader starts looking worried, and that lad's default expression is murder incarnate. So the unthinkable happens. A truce. The rebels and the Imperials team up. Awkward as hell, like a divorced couple trying to co-parent during an alien apocalypse. But survival makes for strange bedfellows. Eventually, it all comes to a head at Yavin IV, the rebel stronghold, lush jungle world. And now ground zero for the galaxy's biggest bug zapper. The Tyranids arrive in force, every last beastie they've got. Mostly. Gargoyles fill the sky, termagants burst from the ground like bloody demons, and the rebels and the Imperials stand together, blasters and lightsabers ready. Droids and stormtroopers fight side by side. Imagine it, Darth Vader force choking a Hive guard, while Leia's dual-wielding blasters beside a roaring Chewie. Han flying low with the Falcon, dropping proton bombs on hordes or termagants. It's glorious, it's madness, it's Star Wars turned up to 11, and covered in bug guts. And somehow, through plot armor and sheer grit, and probably the Force saying, "Alright, I'll help you out just this once," the rebels survive. Barely. So could the rebels survive a Tyranid invasion? The short answer: fuck no! There's no way in history, or in any part of Star Wars, that the rebels would survive. Unfortunately, that little story there was a lie. The rebels are not going to survive, no matter how hard they try. Maybe the Empire could, but not the rebels. So there ya have it, you legends. The rebels, they don't survive, not even by the skin of their arse or the strength of their spirit. And the Tyranids, they're still out there, and still hungry, and probably eyeing up another galaxy as we speak. What do you think? Would the rebels be bug chow, or would they rise to the occasion and punch the Tyranids back to where they belong? Let me know in the comments, but hit that like button like it owes you credit, and subscribe for more galaxy-spanning nonsense. And remember, hope is great, but hope will thermally detonate. Now that's rebel spirit. So have a killing day, ya bloody legends, and I'll see ya in the next one.